Has anyone ever traveled on an unlicensed bus or taken to an illegal bus station? This is a type of passenger bus that runs and picks up passengers at irregular, rather chaotic times. For profit, buses often pick up more passengers than the permitted number. Many people choose to travel by this means of transport because they have few other options in Vietnam. I just had a bad experience on this bus. Hi everyone, I'm Giam, from Vietnam. In today's video, I'm talking about a forgettable experience I had while traveling by bus. First of all, people complained about having to wait a long time to get their tickets. This waiting time occurs on every trip. This is because the buses do not have electronic tickets. I also missed my usual bus service, so I was forced to take this unfamiliar bus. The bus company does not have a standard waiting area, passengers have no place to sit while waiting, and many have to stand. No one was given drinking water, the bottles of water were left on a seat next to the bus. Mr. Hui and his relatives have just finished medical treatment in Saigon and are returning to their hometown in Giam province. He was eager to go home, but had to wait almost an hour to get his ticket. After a long wait, we finally got on the bus. We traveled from Saigon to Giam, and this wasn't a continuous bus ride. This means that to travel the more than 300 kilometers home, we would be constantly switched to different vehicles. This is more like a shuttle service than a continuous, fixed route. I'm getting on the bus and looking for my seat. Each seat costs about $12. I was lying near a passenger on a flight to Giam. He expressed his discomfort because the seat was cramped. Although the bus was full, the driver hadn't started yet. It seemed he was waiting for more passengers. My seat was at the back of the bus. It was old and had a rather unpleasant smell. The bus did not depart on time as promised. The driver drove slowly to pick up more passengers. Those who are busy should seriously consider this option before choosing to take this bus. Many passengers kill time by looking at their phones. More than ever, they need to get home. I don't like to complain, however, I still hope the driver will leave on time as promised. Nearly 30 minutes behind schedule, the bus began to move slowly. The car seems to be shaking, doesn't it? The bus stopped at a rest area so passengers could get off to eat and use the restroom. Can you see how narrow the aisle is on this bus? One girl moving around is already blocking the whole way. I also need to get out of the car to find something to eat. However, finding a way to get off the bus wasn't easy either. A passenger is searching for lost sandals on the bus.
Tiện tay móc cái dùng đôi dép em trong đó luôn. Của em cũng trong đó luôn đó. Đúng rồi.
The bus will stop here for 30 minutes so everyone can eat and use the restroom. This is a food and beverage area. Drivers choose to stop at this eatery because the owner serves them free meals. This is the food counter. I'll order a plate of
Có cơm gì
roasted
chị?
pork with rice.
Với cơm heo quay đi con.
We traveled from Saigon to Giam, and this wasn't a continuous bus ride. This plate of rice costs $2, which is quite expensive compared to the average price in Saigon. The rice here is quite good, but it's already cold. After finishing my meal, I hurried outside to find my bus. The area outside was quite busy. Many other buses also stopped at this rest stop. This is the passenger trash disposal area. I took a free bottle of water from the driver and started to lie down in the reclining seat. A boy and his relatives are eating dumplings in the car. This is the two-seat sleeping area. It looks like a hidden compartment. Passengers were eating and drinking on the bus, and the smell was very unpleasant. A lone traveler is sitting and looking out the window. A woman got on the bus and looked for a seat. The boy hadn't finished eating yet. Large, high-quality bus companies usually prohibit eating on the bus. The passenger lying next to me is climbing onto the seat. In the seat, I couldn't sit upright because the roof was too tight. Overall, everything was more stuffy than I had described. A woman was still eating in the car. She was probably hungry and hadn't had a chance to eat at the restaurant earlier. The bus stopped longer than I expected. They're probably waiting for another passenger who's arriving late. A close-up of an old, rather shabbily handwritten seat number plate. Good heavens, there's another woman eating in the car. Why isn't this prohibited here? The experience on this crowded bus can be traumatic for first-time passengers like me. However, I noticed that many other passengers seemed quite comfortable. Perhaps they were used to it. The car continued moving. I had just over 150 kilometers left to reach my hometown in Giam province. Having traveled more than 2/3 of the way home, I still feel reasonably alright. Sometimes, to relieve my discomfort, I try to look out the window. the car suddenly accelerated, possibly exceeding 80 kilometers per hour, which startled me. After traveling another 20 kilometers or so, the speed slows down again. Have you ever had a similar experience? The buses aren't running continuously because they have to wait for and pick up/drop off passengers late. Things are not right. I'm sure of that. How to get back home as quickly as possible is a question I constantly ask myself. A passenger reached to the front of the bus to ask the driver why they were stopped for so long. However, she had no choice but to accept because the driver said he was stopping to wait for another passenger. In contrast to this practice, many reputable bus companies in Vietnam absolutely do not pick up passengers along the way. While the vehicle was stopped, a woman got on board to sell food to passengers. After a stop of about 20 minutes, the vehicle continued moving towards Giam province. The car was shaking and noisy. However, it was still better than not moving at all. The bus was about to stop at a makeshift station. Strangely, the bus had stopped so many times along the 350 kilometers journey. It was almost dawn, and I felt tired because I couldn't seem to sleep on this bus. At 5 a.m., the car arrived in Giam province, my hometown. Many passengers had gotten off the bus, but there were still some passengers like me who were really on a long journey. The roads in Giam are not yet very smooth. Vehicles shake violently when going over bad sections of road. Passengers were constantly getting off the bus. The pickup and drop-off points were not fixed. Early in the morning, there was enough light for me to see the old details of the car. The driver stopped the car to use his phone. These are bad experiences, my personal perspective. I don't like to judge, but I want to share them so things can get better. Check out my perspective on this challenging bus ride. There is a bus conductor who frequently swears and uses vulgar language while serving passengers. Upon arriving in Giam, I concluded my 350 kilometers journey from Saigon. While looking for something to eat and traveling home, I kept thinking about this bus ride. I hoped everything would be forgotten quickly. Thank you for being with me. I wish you all a happy day, and I hope you try to forget your worries.